Yeah.
So, today's episode, we will be reviewing the movie Frozen 2. Is it called Frozen 2 or does it have more stuff?
No subtitle.
No subtitle, Frozen 2. And while talking about Frozen 2, we will be enjoying some frozen treats. I got cookie dough ice cream. What did you get?
Captain Crunch.
I got Captain Crunch. So, what's this movie about?
Continuation. I wonder. I don't think it takes place that long after the first one, right? It didn't seem like that, right?
Yeah, it seems like
It wasn't.
the Anna and her boyfriend are still getting to know each other.
So, I'd say at most a year, but who's to say for sure? So, continuing events from the first one. Kingdoms up and at 'em, running along smoothly, getting acquainted with everyone, and then strange noises are heard in Elsa's head, and that all leads to an eventual adventure filled with mystery and intrigue and potential past whatevers.
Now, one of the controversies that the movie Frozen has had was they produced some short films and attached them before other Disney movies. The most famous one was a backlash when they made a Frozen short and put it before the movie Coco. So while watching this movie and watching the story, it seemed like it was a couple of short films tied together and then extended to make a feature film. I just got the idea that I was just watching short films and they had a lot of padding in them.
Well, I mean, I guess you're gonna feel that way when you see something that was very clearly made for ABC during Thanksgiving.
So, what'd you think of the story?
This is I remember just thinking about it. In the first movie, I remember had a ton of hype and praise behind it, and I thought, yeah, it was alright. It was pretty good. I wasn't in love with it. I saw it and I'd rewatched it enough times. I'm like, it's good enough. And then walking away from this one, I think, like, the worst thing Frozen 2 can be is disappointing. Because if there's so much hype behind the first one and people love it so much, then like, this one has an easy chance to be a huge letdown. And for a movie I was fine on, I feel just the same about the second one as I did the first one. It's fine. It didn't knock my song. If there's one complaint I can have with the movie, it's that none of the songs are all that memorable.
Yeah, that's another thing that I almost forgot, and I'm glad you reminded me. That it seems like with this movie, they were looking for another hit song. Well, actually, the first one, from what I recall, had two hit songs. Do You Want to Build a Snowman and Let It Go. And in this movie, they were so desperate for that one hit song that they threw in way too many songs. It seems like there was more songs than dialogue in Frozen 2.
Like, I don't want to... So, everyone kind of needs... There's like an Anna and Elsa song or something, or an Anna song and an Elsa song. There's like the I'm Stronger song, so the Let It Go in the first one is, Into the Unknown in this one. You have your Olaf song, which was like In Summer in the first one, and then this one is like I'll Understand It When I'm Older, whatever the song's called. Kristoff, I guess, has more to do in this movie, even though they leave him behind for the whole most of this movie. And like, I'll say that this movie, I didn't remember like a ton of laughter when I saw the first one, but for this one, there was like a lot more times when the audience was laughing out loud. So I guess they went a little stronger on the humor in this one, and then like Kristoff's song just goes like full 80s ballad, and like even with a theming of like an 80s music video. So I mean, I guess it's kind of a serious song, but they play it up for laughs. So there's that. So I didn't walk away like, ooh, this is my favorite song for this. I'm just like, they're all palatable. They're all fine. Nothing's being saved on my Spotify playlist.
So the short films in this movie, that's what I'm calling them, or you can call them side stories. Let's see, there was the Anna Elsa story. That one, not that entertaining for me. Felt long, didn't go anywhere. Then there was the, you said, what was his name? Sven? The blonde-haired dude?
That's Kristoff.
Kristoff.
Sven's the reindeer.
Kristoff, he had like a mini story. I wish they would have expanded on that. They just pretty much put him off to the backdrop or made him disappear. there was Olaf, and you really had to have Olaf in this movie. If it wasn't for Olaf, it wouldn't be as entertaining as it was. You know, just with the other stories that were kind of dragging, they were putting me to sleep. Olaf kept me going till the end of the credits.
Well, he didn't keep you going to the end of the credits. What happened?
I think the Anna and Elsa's long story.
Something else put you to sleep.
Anna and Elsa's long story was just too much for me to sit through, and it put me to sleep. And Olaf kept me laughing. He was a lot of fun to watch
Until it wasn't.
Until it wasn't. And then
well, spoiler talk.
Well, I guess we're gonna have to get there real soon. I guess also what kind of put me to sleep was just Arendelle just seems like a really cozy town, like one of those what are those places called where you rent them and it's like bed and breakfast?
Sure.
That's what Arendelle felt to me, like a cozy place. I really do want to visit Arendelle and just relax and sleep there. Take a vacation.
Seems like a weird review for a movie, but okay.
What else can we talk about?
I don't know. Like I said, it's fine. So I don't feel like I have a whole litany of things to talk about. It's just it's more of this. It's more of what you saw from the first one. Different trials and tribulations for our characters. They all walk away being at the end of the day okay. You know, it's pretty. Feels like your average run-of-the-mill movie, which is kind of interesting for your Thanksgiving animation tentpole
and your franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as soon as my phone loads up, we're going to give our recommendations. But I'm curious what our friends at Rotten Tomatoes had to say about this movie, and what the critics and the audience came to. Did they agree? Did they not agree? I got no internet. Probably should have prepared this beforehand.
By not filming in a place with no bars?
Maybe. I'm deep in the remotes of Arendelle. So our friends at Rotten Tomatoes, a critic score for this movie, Frozen 2, they gave it, still loading. Can I get a drum roll?
No, because I can just belt out the answer for you right now. I don't know why your phone doesn't work and my phone has no issues.
Okay, so Frozen critic score, they gave it a fresh tomato, 76%. Audience gave it a 93%. What's your recommendation?
I go with the critic, 76. Like as often as I'm gonna beat this drum, it was fine. I mean, I'm curious. I don't know if I talked about this before, but like, I'm noticing a weird trend in in user scores on Rotten Tomatoes that are like absurdly high for movies that just look fine. Like 87 for like 21 Bridges or whatever. I don't know if that's the actual score, but like movies that don't look good, like Midway probably has a super high user score. I'm like, it just looks like an okay World War II movie. So either way, yeah, 93 seems pretty high for the users. Maybe it was crowd pleasing, I guess. For the same people that really liked Frozen 1 and I thought it was just fine. I guess these are the same people who are fans of Frozen 2. I thought it was fine. 76 seems about right for me.
I guess maybe because of the large discrepancy, maybe less audiences are using Rotten Tomatoes to score. Because usually,
well then less people are critiquing movies then. But like, so the people that would critique don't care. But people are sour grapes about everything and love to bash on things. So why wouldn't movies be lower?
Maybe Rotten Tomatoes is starting to lose its popularity.
I don't think it's starting. I think it's more popular than ever. That's why you see TV commercials like, this is certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
My recommendation for this movie, there's a lot of hype behind it. In the movie theater, there was a lot of kids and youth that were excited with this movie. This movie is not for me, put me to sleep. If you're like me, I would recommend skip it. But if you love Frozen, I guess you'll love this movie. Now, there was a few little things that we need to talk about, a few little nuggets that will clarify more my recommendation in the spoiler talk. So we're getting into the spoiler talk, and if you don't want to be spoiled, pause this, watch the movie, and then resume. And if you do want to be spoiled, well, here we are, spoiler zone. All right, so go ahead.
Okay, so there's one like major plot point that happens in this movie that just makes me go, really? Like, okay. throughout our hero's journey, Elsa discovers that this is the important nugget in the past that like, oh, her great grandpa was actually a shithead and like essentially killed the Arendelian equivalent of Native Americans and started a war or whatever. Started this whole thing. So, you know, revisionist history, grandpa was an asshole. He wasn't actually a hero. Going to okay, and then Elsa figures all this out, and then because magic or whatever, like her body becomes frozen, and then she quote unquote dies or whatever. And then a plot point happens in the movie that makes me scratch my head and go, you didn't see this happen in a very big movie that happened last year and decide, hey, maybe we should rewrite this because this is almost beat for beat the same story point or whatever. So was it Anna and Olaf are traveling together, and then Elsa just got stricken with, you know, like ice aids or whatever, and then she loses her powers, and then that forces Olaf to, you know, his permafrost no longer works, so now, like, you know, there's the potential of him being able to melt. So it's like, oh no, I'm flurrying, which is the equivalent of post Thanos' snap. Same thing's happening to Spider-Man. Like, it's almost the exact same scene, Anna and Olaf with Tony Stark and Spider-Man. Him almost saying, Mrs. Anna, I don't feel so good. And then he flurries away, and I'm just like, when the guys were writing Frozen 2, and they probably got to see Infinity War when that came out last year, and this movie's coming out, and they're like, you guys don't notice that these two scenes are pretty much identical? Where our, you know, our lovable kind of comedic relief that aims towards younger audiences is being ashened or snowed away and dies in your arms? You know, to the same thing where, like, Anna's like, ew, I got, like, snow crust on my hands, and starts wiping it away. Just, I don't know, weird. I guess I don't understand Hollywood productions.
Damn, I didn't notice that.
Well, yeah, you were sleeping. That's the problem.
But that was just, that's a really good observation. And that's why you're very awesome at reviewing movies. The one thing I noticed was,
you can't notice anything. You were sleeping, but go on.
There was this one storyline between Anna and Elsa's granddad, who screwed over another house. So you know where I'm going with this. I felt like the storyline was copying Game of Thrones, where you had the granddad screwing over another group, another tribe, and taking their land and screwing them over and presenting them Walden Frey style hospitality. And it turns out not to be that way. So I thought, wow, this storyline is pretty advanced for little kids. It's like somebody was watching Game of Thrones and said, let's do that in a kids movie.
Well, I'm pretty sure what they were more closely thinking is like, hey, this movie's coming around Thanksgiving. Let's ruin Thanksgiving.
And did it work?
I don't know. I don't have any real major thoughts or opinions about history, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people in flyover states will love their Thursday.
So Anna and Elsa have to discover this truth. They're living
a lot of gravy boats going to be thrown at kitchen walls, I'll tell you what.
A lot of well, now I lost my train of thought.
It wasn't important.
Anyways, the point is that Anna and Elsa had to discover the truth about their family history.
Well,
and they
Elsa
confessed it to nobody, and nothing changed at the end. So they went on this journey for nothing.
It was just to like you did a 23andMe or an ancestry test and like found out your dad was like secretly Hitler, and it's like, oh no. Okay, now what? So you guys want to get some frozen yogurt?
Let's uncover this secret. We discovered it. Now let's cover it back up.
Yeah, it's how interesting how the point of this movie is that you have to break bridges to build new ones or something, because they break a dam, which is technically a bridge to these, you know, native tribes people or whatever.
So these native tribes people their land has superpowers. They don't have superpowers, and they never realized, hey, if we build a dam, we lose our powers.
Yeah. Or like, you know, Chief Thunderhorn. What's the guy from Peter Pan? Chief.
I don't know. I need to re-see that movie.
Either way, but the point is like the chief's like, hey, you know, this dam's actually hurting us, and then like, Grandpa, you know, Grandpa Lannister is like, okay, fuck you, and then just strikes him down for no real good reason. I don't know. It all just feels very like, hey, people's history's bad, and we need to bring that back to the surface with this children's movie.
But I just figured it out. They built the dam because they realized at the sloping bottom part was a nice piece of real estate property to build the Arendelle city. They had to build the dam so the water doesn't rush and flood the city.
Yeah, but the water was already like flowing before, it's just buildup.
Now here's this last thing that really grabs my gripes.
Okay.
Frozen Part 1, biggest movie of the year. That's why we got Frozen 2. And then in Frozen 2, I think, 2 or 3 times in the movie, they had to go back and reference Frozen 1. You had this famous scene with Olaf, where he pretty much summarized Frozen 1.
In case your children didn't force you to see it yesterday, here's a little reminder from when your children forced you to see it last Saturday. Yeah, it seems weird to like. It's. I don't know. My thoughts are like, Disney has successful animation movies in the forms of like the original Frozen, the original Wreck-It Ralph. Maybe there's another one I can't come to mind, but like. Here's some successful movies made it gangbusters at the box office, and then you waited 5, 6, 7 years for your sequel. Maybe Big Hero 6 isn't. I don't think that one's getting a sequel, but it's like, hey, that was a good movie. How come no sequel for that? Yeah. But just like, or Incredibles 2, you can argue, or Nemo 2, or whatever, other movies. For some reason, they wait far too long, way past like, well, I guess, the popularity didn't go down, but it's just interesting. Like, oh, you waited so long for these movies. And then, a gripe you can have against this movie is like, oh, we waited so long. Now we have to remind you that what happened in the last movie. Or, just kind of like tear everyone apart again. So it's like, it doesn't matter. We don't have to read it, have new interesting angles with our characters developing with each other. You just separate them, and then they learn new things about themselves. So I don't know. Maybe that's part of my problem with this movie. It's just like, oh, let's separate everyone again. And then just like, have Elsa go on another journey of discovery on her own.
Self-discovery.
And then have Anna do another journey of discovery on her own.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching this review of Frozen 2. I apologize for the noise, but we're experimenting with different formats. What do you guys like more? Do you guys like us in the studio, just hearing our voices with a couple of cards in the background? Or do you want to see us out in the field? Comment. Bye.